Persepolis is an extraordinary graphic novel written and illustrated by Marjane Satrapi. Satrapi opens her book with a drawing of a childhood photo of herself and the words, "This is when I was 10 years old. This was 1980. The year prior, the Islamic Revolution occurred." She explains that because of the revolution's success, the genders had to be segregated and gender-specific clothing laws were enforced by the government. It was a period of turmoil within the Islamic Republic under the Ayatollah. During this time there were many protests, both violent and peaceful, and it was very hard on citizens, including Satrapi and her family. Her upbringing led Satrapi to be exposed and accustomed to a more liberal Western lifestyle. Because of this, her views on feminism and the female gender are a far cry from the ideal woman in the Islamic Revolution. Satrapi's representations of the woman in her life from her point of view are drastically different from those of the Ayatollah and his regime. Independent, educated, and just as assertive as men, women protect and guide Satrapi throughout her life. In stark contrast, the Islamic Republic of Iran promotes a subservient and objectified woman, the exact opposite of Satrapi's vision. From the beginning of the text, readers are able to perceive a strong-willed Satrapi who is as determined as she is driven, whether it be in the religious or academic fields. From a young age, Margie was different from her peers as she was convinced that she would be the next prophet, a position traditionally held by a man. Although her words could be attributed to her childlike innocence, they reveal her ambitious drive early on. Margie's younger self was fixated on the idea of nurturing, a characteristic quality she takes from her grandmother, a wise woman with decades of caretaking experience. Among the reasons she desires to become prophet are because her grandmother's knees always ached. Margie's grandmother is an extremely influential person in her life, and is someone who provides guidance and keeps her grounded. The night before Margie leaves for Austria, her grandmother comes to comfort the anxious child in her bed. She advises her outspoken granddaughter to always keep her dignity and be true to herself, which is a phrase that proves to be the most important yet difficult mantra for the budding young lady to live by. However, it is evident that Margie never gives up either of these elements as she marches onward with life. In addition to fulfilling the caring stereotype, women also prove themselves to be just as bold and leading as their male counterparts. At times they're even more quick-witted than the man himself. Once again, Margie's grandmother as well as her mother fall into this category. In the scene where the family is being searched for alcohol, Margie's father stalls for time. Meanwhile, grandmother holds the reins and successfully removes all evidence. This shows that within the Satrapi household, the women are skilled enough to hold their own without outside help. Being surrounded with the pictures of independence, Margie grows to become the mirror image of those who raised her. She even goes as far to say, "I wanted to be an educated, liberated woman, and if the pursuit of knowledge meant getting cancer, so be it," after discovering that universities would be closed for 2 years. To Margie, being a woman meant being educated and accomplished with her own medals under her belt. Since she was in grade school, Satrapi had dreamt of becoming nothing less than a somebody. But her dreams of traveling to the United States, studying chemistry, and following Marie Curie's footsteps all went up in smoke when the government restricted the citizens' freedoms. However, during that period in time, not all women shared the same view as Satrapi and not all had similar ambitions. The Guardians of the Revolution, for example, were an ideological custodian charged with defending the Islamic Republic against internal and external threats. Under it, everything that Margie viewed as empowering and enriching were exiled and banned by the government. It has gone to affect the Satrapi household personally. When Margie's mother did not wear a veil, she was told that women like her should be pushed up against a wall and fucked and then thrown in the garbage by 2 fundamentalist bastards. Here, the divide between Margie's idealized life as a young lady and the government's opinion about that idea is clearly shown. Satrapi goes farther to more elegantly describe the real-world position of women in Iran by using jewel symbolism. Jewelry is a precious object of great value that traditionally symbolizes wealth and prosperity. However, it is an item that is also easily bought and sold, the transactions taking no longer than a few minutes for the 2 parties. Take Mary, for example. She was just 8 years old when she left her home to work for the Satrapi household. Mary's story still shows a simple and easy exchange of a cherished daughter, even though she was not sold into servitude. However, the circumstance is not only limited to the less wealthy citizens of Iranian society, it also affects the rich and influential. The case of Molly and her family was slightly different. After the devastating Iraqi bombings and loss of the $1 million estate, Molly had to sell jewels in order to ensure her family's survival. Her exclamation that "everything's destroyed" highlights the damage done to the familial wealth and her own worth as a woman and Iranian as well. Suddenly devalued due to her refugee status, Molly struggles to adapt and accept these terms imposed by other Tehran women. To have the Iraqis attack, that's one thing, but to be spat upon by your own kind, that's intolerable. The abrupt shift from riches to rags results in a change in the class hierarchy as well. The loss of such beautiful jewels signifies the devaluing of female identity. Molly's worth is directly related to the numerical value of jewels and precious stones she possesses. Under the government, the female gender is literally stamped with a monetary number. When Nilofar, the wanted communist girl, was discovered, she was killed, and 500 tumens was sent to her parents as a return dowry. It is $5 for the life and virginity of an innocent girl. Margie's perspective is very westernized and liberal. Meanwhile, the Iranian government is on the opposite end of the spectrum with extremely fundamentalist views. Satrapi brings the two tricky ideologies together with her clear writing style and simple illustrations. The two aspects work in unison to spread her story of her childhood and to help readers digest the information easier. Satrapi's drawings are black and white, giving readers the image of Iran as a black and white country. Her words are clean and precise, with each sentence serving a purpose. Her lines are striking and neat, with no fancy techniques, and her illustrations are bold and clear, enough to distinguish characters and figures at a glance. The color palette, or lack of, is a well-thought-out representation of the popular mindset of Iran at the time. Either you were with the regime or you strongly opposed it, and there was no middle ground to stand upon. Therefore, the very yes or no attitude the novel emanates is extremely appropriate for Satrapi's story. Satrapi writes, "One can forgive but should never forget," which can be an explanation why Persepolis is such a detailed and moving comic book. Her experiences growing up in Iran are definitely polemical subject matters. However, her desire to share this knowledge and story once again demonstrates the fire within her to always grind against authority.